if you're a young person like myself, you already know that we're on climate change. Like, it's a wrap, dude. It's over. I'm not trying to be a doomer, but we are very clearly approaching the point of no return. Now, the point of no return, of course, sounds a lot darker than it sounds a lot darker than what it implies. The point of no return doesn't mean that humanity becomes extinct right away. The point of no return, however, means that we reach a point where climate change is no longer reversible and the world that we know it begins to change, which leads to droughts, which leads to food supply chains breaking down. It will lead to mass migration. Rising sea levels will cause certain places like Florida to be uninhabited. I don't know why the fuck I'm laughing. Long Island will probably be underwater in a couple decades as well. But the reason why I do sound kind of doomerish about this is that the Trump administration is just pro climate change. There's no other way to describe it. Joe Biden, for all of his faults, was pretty like progressive on climate change as far as the federal government of the United States goes. He didn't go far enough in my estimation, but he went farther than any previous president. Donald Trump sees all of that and he's like, I actually want to cover all of the birds and all of the bees in oil. I want to make them oil birds and oil bees. They are the bees. You know, the bees are a funny creature. Nicolas Cage, one of my favorite actors, had a movie about the bees. You may think that they pollinate pollen. No, they actually pollinate oil. They fly over to the oil rigs and then they cover themselves in oil and they bring the oil back, and that's why I'm able to lower fuel prices because I'm exploiting the bees. So there Donald Trump has been repealing many Joe Biden. He's been repealing a lot of the executive orders that Joe Biden signed in regard to climate change. He put Lee Zeldin at the head of the EPA, who's basically a fleshlight for the oil and gas lobby. At a certain point, he's just going to allow oil and gas companies to do whatever the fuck they want. He's going to make it illegal to build wind turbines and solar panels. But I stumbled across this article from NPR that is really just outwardly fucking dangerous. Trump's EPA now says greenhouse gases don't endanger people. What do you do? Like, what do you do in this situation if you're me? I need help. I need help. You're going to tell me that like carbon dioxide is not dangerous? What the fuck, man? Like this is I don't know what to do. I'm legitimately flabbergasted. This is like I don't even know if I don't even know if this is postmodernist. Whatever is beyond postmodernist. This is parody at this point. Existing in the United States of America is satirical.
The Trump administration wants to take away the federal government's current ability to fight climate change. It's part of President Trump's effort to boost fossil fuels and reverse much of former President Biden's climate agenda. These moves come as scientists say the world already is experiencing the consequences of a hotter climate caused by human activity. Jeff Brady is here from NPR's Climate Desk. Good morning, Jeff.
I
Good
mean,
morning.
unrelated. New York, New York City, and Long Island, where I live, had its climate reclassified 5 fucking years ago to be marine subtropical. Do you know what that means? It means that it's 90 degrees and like 85% humidity for the entire month of a fucking July. It sucks, dude. It sucks. It's horrible. It's horrible. I've lived here my entire fucking life. The summers were never like this. And that's just like a minor inconvenience from climate change. That's not to talk about the additional rainfall that we're receiving, which in some instances is great, but in some other areas might not be great. It could potentially lead to mudslides. There are also the droughts in California that have persisted, that are now unseasonable because of climate change. There are actual things happening that are the direct result of climate change, and yet people are presented with them and they're like, oh, this is normal. It's like, is it normal? Is it normal that you've gone your whole fucking life and have never experienced this until like just now? Is it normal that there's a Category 5 hurricane once a year when 25 years ago there was one every 5 years? What is normal about this?
Could you tell us what climate change fighting tool the Trump administration wants to eliminate?
It's called the endangerment finding. And back in 2007, the Supreme Court told the Environmental Protection Agency that it's required to regulate greenhouse gases from fossil fuels, such as carbon dioxide and methane. Then, 2 years later, the EPA determined under the Clean Air Act that those climate heating gases are endangering people. And that gave the federal government authority to regulate climate pollution. Previous administrations put limits on coal and gas-fired power plants, car and truck exhaust, and methane from the oil and gas industry. Now, all those regulations could go away if this endangerment finding is overturned.
And if those regulations do go away, what could that mean for the climate?
The United States, it's the biggest historical contributor to climate change.
Climate CO2 is the largest contributor to climate change. The reason why the Earth has warmed at a never before seen rate is because of the increased burning of fossil fuels since the Industrial Revolution. That is a direct correlation. Anyone that tries to argue against that is fucking silly. They don't know what they're talking about. They're ignorant. Global warming is happening because of our reliance on fossil fuels. That is not to say that we need to get rid of fossil fuels entirely right now on July 24th, 2025? No, that would be fucking silly. But it does mean that there needs to be a gradual tapering of our reliance on fossil fuels and instead substitute for clean energy alternatives, whether it's nuclear, whether it's hydro, whether it's geothermal, whatever the fuck. That will lead to a more stable environment for the human race.
Now, behind China, rules based on this finding aim to reduce.
There's also right-wingers will always say that, oh, well, it's not the United States' responsibility to fight climate change. It's China and India because they produce more. They produce more CO2. Like, fucking nominally they do. Because there's 700 million more people that live in China and India than in the United States. On a per capita basis, the United States is the largest emitter of fossil fuels. When you are a highly industrialized economy like the United States is, with a population of 330 million, you are going to emit a tremendous amount of greenhouse gas. It's just the science of this.
Reduce the country's contribution to climate change and the consequences of a warming climate. We're already seeing those. Scientists recorded the hottest year on record in 2024. There's more frequent and severe flooding, including the flash floods around the country this summer. Destructive wildfires are more likely to happen, and hotter oceans are making.
Yeah, all of these natural disasters that happen, and then Donald Trump is like, sorry, North Carolina, go fuck yourself. I'm actually dismantling FEMA. Oh, Kentucky, you just had 80 people die in a flash flood because you got 36 inches of rain in 9 minutes. Get fucked. I'm going to go spend your FEMA money on flying myself to Mar-a-Lago. People die because of this shit, man. This is why this shit gets me so angry. It's like, not only are you ruining life for the next generation, but you are simultaneously fucking over people right now. You are letting them fucking die because of your negligence.
More intense. But the Trump administration sees a different problem here. They say efforts to reduce fossil fuel use increase cost for Americans, but they often don't count the health cost of pollution, and that renewable energy often is cheaper.
Jeff, the Trump administration is dramatically remaking.
And renewable energy would be infinitely cheaper if there was more robust infrastructure surrounding it. And guess what? Fossil fuels aren't that cheap right now either. So it's expensive either way. But in the long term, not only is pivoting to clean energy better for the planet and better for the human race, it is also economically stimulating. You are able to provide construction and manufacturing jobs, not only to build these plants and these technologies, but to maintain them as well. You can revitalize places throughout this country like the Rust Belt, who have been fucked over by outsourcing and capitalism, by putting a solar plant in the middle of West Virginia.
Government. How does this fit into that?
The EPA has been a big focus for the Trump administration. It's proposed eliminating entire divisions within the agency. Just last week, the EPA said it intends to cut staff up to 25%, back to 1980s levels when Ronald Reagan was president. EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin in March announced what he billed as the
Failed governor,
greatest
by the
and
way.
most consequential day of deregulation in U.S. history, and he placed a special focus on the endangerment finding.
I've been told the endangerment finding is considered the holy grail of the climate change religion. For me, the U.S. Constitution and the laws of this nation will be strictly interpreted and followed. No exceptions.
What does his reference to the Constitution tell us about how the Trump administration is explaining what it's trying to do?
You know, I've seen a lot of proposed EPA regulations over the years, and they're usually based on scientific research. The Trump administration is making more of a legal argument here. They say previous EPA administrators overstepped their authority in determining that greenhouse gases from fossil fuels are a threat to public health and the environment. Now, we're going to see if that's going to stand up in court, because this is sure to face a legal challenge.
As so many of
Oh yeah, fortunately for us peasants, we have the unbiased Supreme Court of the United States that will uphold this act and prevent Lee Zeldin from repealing it. Yes, I am very confident that Clarence Thomas and John Roberts and Brett Kavanaugh, the fucking sex pest, are going to prevent Lee Zeldin from fucking us up.